So the Taxpayers Alliance, you submitted advice for this report. It says ministers should curb benefits that are focused on pensioners. Why do you think that is?
Well, ultimately, a lot of these benefits are unsustainable. We're not in favour of completely abolishing them. For instance, the winter fuel payments might be better targeted to pensioners who are in receipt of pension credit. Likewise, bus passes could be retained for those who have caring responsibilities, the attendance allowance, personal independence payments, those in receipt of those. But ultimately, the current system is pretty unreasonable. I mean, also, you have very wealthy pensioners who might be in receipt of these benefits who, frankly, don't need them, and yet those who are struggling to get around might not necessarily have enough quite to do that. So it's a very good report. There are some great ideas in this, and I'm very glad they're following our lead for suggestions for limiting some of these benefits.
Yeah, but I know what many of our viewers will be thinking. Many of them will be pensioners themselves. They will say that, hang on a minute, why should we be penalised? I mean, surely this is a failure of government policy.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing to say that pensioners are penalised with this. I mean, ultimately, if you look at my generation, we're struggling very severely with housing, and it seems rather peculiar for people my age why we are lavishing such large benefits when the housing crisis, not merely here in London but indeed across the whole of the UK, is only exacerbating with particularly restrictive planning laws and the lack of ability to build up, not merely just build out, into the green belt and so forth. So there's a variety of issues here, but ultimately, if we're talking about the very nature of the report, looking at intergenerational fairness, we need to also address young people's concerns, and modifying some of the benefits which are received by pensioners seems a good starting point to do that.
One of the things that the report looks at is this whole idea of the pensions triple lock. Just remind us exactly what that is. And I mean, is a Taxpayers Alliance calling for that perk, if that's what we want to call it, to be scrapped?
Yes, we would like that scrapped. The triple lock basically means that the state pension increases by whatever's highest of 2.5% inflation or average wages. The Conservative Party in 2017, in their manifesto, committed to move that from a triple lock to a double lock in effect, so getting rid of one of those elements. We think that's a great thing to do. It's a shame that the government hasn't carried on with that. Ultimately, state pensions are incredibly unsustainable. I mean, yes, there are these perks of winter fuel payments, which need to be modified, certainly, but the liabilities for state pensions, I think from an estimate about 4 years ago in 2015, said that's about £4 trillion. Future state pensions need to be paid out, and that's obviously an ever growing situation. So fundamentally, that's a real issue that needs to be addressed. And if the government were to take forwards the proposals in this report, that'd be great news.